Howdy folks, it's Tall Turtle here and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator Part 4 of the Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh Transatlantic Flight, Spirit of St. Louis. This video, or this part of the flight, is literally just the ocean from Newfoundland to Ireland, but we have a lot to talk about. So the video overall probably isn't very long. You already know because you're in the future, you can see how long the video ended up being, but as I record it here, it's going to be, I don't know, 17 hours for me, spliced into a little bit for you. The reason why I say I don't think it's going to be very long is because I'm not going to give you 17 hours or even 45 minutes of just sightseeing the ocean. So we'll talk here in the beginning, and then I'll give you some sightseeing, and then talk again at the end, unless something comes up interesting in between. So let's hop inside and see where we're at here. Yep, a lot of ocean. So a few things to talk about here. For sake of not breaking ourselves, let's use the outside view for right now. First of all, let's look at the nav log and just see what's going to go on here. Let's condense, let's see. So Newfoundland, yep, here we go. Here it is into ocean. So 88 degrees it says for an hour, 91 for 44, 92 for 55, 93 for 50. So the reason why I mention this is the most important thing is going to be staying on course, relatively speaking, right? So keeping a heading as best as I can for the time it says to, and then adjusting very slowly more and more to the east, and then the east-southeast until we get to Ireland. Now, remember the quiz question I asked you before? Did you ever look that up? If you are 1 degree off for an hour, how many nautical miles does that put you from where you intended to be? So it says 88 degrees, right? If I go 89 degrees, so instead of going this way, let's say I go 89 degrees, 1 degree off for an hour, how many miles away from my target am I? It's quite a bit. It's enough to get lost. And the reason why I say that is if we are off our degrees for like 17 hours, we'll be that distance times 17. If you looked it up, you know how much that would be. So it would be an insane, we'd be a different country, even a different continent, if we screw that up. So we got to be careful, right? Fortunately, 41 degrees. Fortunately, I'm 85 degrees, 84 degrees off, 86 degrees off. Fortunately, the VFR map, which I'll show you here once we get back to 88 degrees or so, which means we're already going to be a little bit north, but that's okay. It's only been like a minute and a half or so I'm not terribly worried about it. Well, we should have rolled out sooner. I was just looking at my software to make sure I'm recording this. Okay, let's go back to 88 degrees, please. There we go, 88 degrees. So, fortunately, the VFR map puts you in the middle. So we're right here, even though we're not on the map. We're right here in the middle. So what'll happen eventually, and sometimes it doesn't zoom in or out either. It's kind of been really screwed up. This VFR map has been a mess ever since the 40th anniversary version. Anyway, we're in the middle, so we're right here. As we go along and get closer, I can start moving this over and be like, oh, Ireland is way down here, I need to adjust course. Or, whoa, Ireland is way up here, I need to adjust course. Eventually, if I need to. So far, my navigation has been spot on. I don't know how, but it's been spot on this entire trip so far. So hopefully I won't need to make any adjustments. But if I do, you can pull up the VFR map, it puts you in the middle, even without your airplane on it. And then you can just kind of drag it around and see where you're supposed to be. So that's the heading. That's the heading part of why it's super important. As far as my altitude, I was going to stay around 5,000 feet, but I think I'm going to stay around 6,000 feet so I can see land sooner. When we did the first part from New York to Newfoundland, or to Nova Scotia, those several hours over the water, I was at like 1,000 feet and I could never see anything. And then when I raced to 4,000, I saw land right in front of me. So we're going to stay pretty high just because I want to see land sooner. Because again, this is going to be many, many hours. I don't know why we suddenly got an updraft, because look at that. Look at that, just shooting straight up. I didn't even touch anything. Eventually this will settle in with my trim. And I'm gonna let it kind of go back and forth for a while, but I do want to try to settle in around 6,000. Just because I just picked that arbitrarily. There's no reason I picked that number, I just did. But maybe we'll drift up. I don't know, we'll see. Whatever. I'm not super worried about it. Fuel, that one is scary. Right now, we're kind of on track for fuel. When I did my calculation in the nav log, it said he burned 800 gallons reaching Newfoundland. I looked up how much fuel he started with. I think it's 2,750 gallons. And, or pounds, sorry, pounds. And, 800 pounds out of 2,750 was 30%, and I was at 70%, so I lost 30%. So my fuel was spot on, but when I restarted the sim the next day to continue over Newfoundland, it put me backwards an hour and off to the side, so I had to make up that hour. So, yeah, so I don't think we're out of fuel. I cannot wait until we run out to try the repair refuel key binding that I have that I use for bush trips. Because if I wait until we almost run out and we're near the very end, we'll be way too heavy to land nicely, and if we crash, then we have to redo part of it. But if we do it too soon, we could run out anyway and still have to refuel at the end. So I'm going to wait. I don't know, I'm debating between refueling at 50% or Taliesin Ireland. Because once we get to Ireland, there's a lot, right? You got to go across Ireland, got to go across South England, got to cross the Channel, got to get into France, got to get all the way to Paris, which is about 100 miles into France. So there's a lot. There's something like 5 or 6 hours once we see Ireland. So I don't know. I don't know about when I'm going to try the repair refuel. And maybe it won't even work. Maybe we are locked into this much fuel, and then we'll run out of fuel and crash, and then it'll make us restart from a certain point, but we'll never get more fuel. So it better let us repair and refuel. I'm just not going to test it right now. Too soon. So there's some suspense. If you, for flight sim, that's pretty dramatic actually. So we have to wait on the fuel test. I'll either do it at 50% or when we get close to Ireland. We'll see. So now we're coming back down to settle in 6,000. Perfect. What else? Let's see. Oh yeah, daytime, nighttime. Every time I restart the sim, well, it was every time I restart the sim, it was 8:35. But the last time I started the sim, it was like 10:30 or 11:30, and this time when I started the sim, it was like 10:10. So I'm not sure about that, but my point is it's not saving our time, right? 17 hours into the flight, it started around 8:30, the very first clip of the very first video. So 17 hours, I mean, what should that be, like 11 o'clock or something? No, 1 a.m. Yeah, it should be like 1:30 a.m. right now, and it's obviously not. So we may never see night. I thought we'd be doing the water overnight, and we probably would be if the time kept, but the time hasn't been keeping every time we restart. So I guess it's always going to be daytime. And then weather. In the Navalog, he talks about all this weather he has to avoid. We've had no weather changes. It's just been this the entire time. So, I don't know. So with all of those logistics out of the way, let's read the Navalog and see what he did and everything. We'll read all about it for a little bit here, and then we'll just go to sightseeing for a little bit. And then magically for you, there'll be Ireland, but probably a week later for me, or more. Whatever. It'll be later. Alright, so let's keep going down. It's quite a ways out. None of this is going to stay collapsed anyway, but where was it here? Whoops, I think I went too far. Yeah, I went way too far. Alright, here we go. From here, it's open ocean until Ireland. Lindbergh noted, haze in the light of the sunset, and the mass behind is Conception Bay. I don't think... Where's Conception Bay? I think we were in a little different spot on that. Where's that with this? I'm looking at Google Maps right now. Conception Bay? I don't know, it's not giving me... It's not... Whoop, we're getting off course here. It's not giving me, where's my preset? There it is. Oh, we got way off course. It is not giving me water names on Google Maps right now for some reason. Anywho, let's get back another Navalog here while we get back to 88 degrees. Let's see. Open water. Continue on course. I should really look where Conception Bay is, though, and adjust that, because we could be too far south, for example, even if we're at the right heading. So there's 88 degrees. Let's level off down here. Keep it like that. Okay. Continue on course. Checkpoint 12. Continue on course. Stars appear ahead and the ocean obscured by fog. Lindbergh climbs to stay above the fog. That's another reason why I kind of want to get above 6,000 feet. Just to pretend there's fog, because he had fog, we don't. Continue on course. Thunderstorm. He flies into the clouds to turn back as it begins to ice. Okie dokie. We do not need to worry about that. Continue on course. Lindbergh notes that the coating of ice is thinner and the haze is clearing. We don't need to worry about that either, apparently. Fights to stay awake. Despite the cold, he keeps the windows open. We're still drifting off course here. Let's see. Continue on course. The air is warmed and there's no more ice on the aircraft. How did he survive icing? Maybe. Oh, there's an icing thing down here, right? That's what this is. This is the icing engine, it said. So let's turn icing on anyway. I'll get back on course, please. Continue on course. Anxiously awaiting the halfway point. I can imagine. Continue on course. Halfway point. After 18 hours, he feels dread. It's already been like 12 or 13 for us. I can't remember what I even said it was. Whatever, how many hours it's been. Continue on course. Daylight after passing time zones. Light revives him, but only for a short time. Okay. Continue on course with no log entries. Continue on course, flying in the fog. Continue to fall asleep. Well, that's not good. Level off, please. Thank you. Continue on course, feeling discouraged, stating that he had not entered anything into the log in 3 hours. Yeah, I know, but he can make it. Sequence is broken and he will not enter into the log anymore. Sequence is broken. Interesting. Others, he's just kind of mad about everything and crappy, I think. Continue on course. 24 hours have passed. It does not feel tired. Yeah, because he's doing the overtired thing. When you have babies and you don't sleep for 3 days at a time, you feel the same dang thing. Or else you're like, I'm too tired to sleep. I'm actually pretty awake. You get goofy and make stupid decisions, but you're awake. Continue on course. 300 gallons have been burned. That's quite a bit because I think he started with 450. Continue on course, continue on course, continue on course, continue on course. Several fishing boats at this point. Spots at the southern tip of Ireland. So, checkpoint 30, which is POI 31. How many hours is that? Because there's about an hour each time, give or take. So, we started here. So, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoops, I scrolled too far. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. About 21 hours. Take away, yeah, 20 hours or so. Take away 10, 20, 30, 19 hours, 18, about 18 hours to cross the water. That would make sense because if he's 12 in, and there's 18 more, that's 29, and then it's like 5 hours to France. Yeah, okay, that's my rough estimate, is about right. So that's how long it's going to take to do this. If I do like 2 hours a night or something, that's 8 nights of flying over the water. Are you serious? What have I got myself into? Stay on course, man. Come on. And I can't let it go because even if you trim it perfectly, it still does stuff like this where it'll just drift off course and there's no autopilot. If there's autopilot, and I could have been doing this for autopilot the whole time, I'll kick myself. But I went over this whole aircraft. There's too old for autopilot. I do have key bindings to force autopilot. I did not try that. I'm not going to try that. Because there are some aircraft without autopilot. If you do it through your keyboard with the key bindings, it will work. But I'm not going to do that in this airplane. So, and fly and watch YouTube for every night for every couple hours or whatever. That's a lot of flying. Anyway, so then once we get to the southern tip of Ireland, then it's England, Plymouth, enter France, follow the river, and then land. But that'll be Ireland will be in the next video. I don't know if we'll get to end in the next video. We'll probably have next video and another video at least to finish the trip. But we're getting like a month ahead of myself in real life. But anyway, we'll probably have a part 5 and 6 because this is part 4, right? That's what I'm thinking. Cross the river, cross the ocean in this video, and then well, we're down to 5,000 feet. Let's go back up. Cross the ocean in this video, and then 2 videos for the land of the next, maybe? Depends how I'm feeling. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to stay on heading of about 88 degrees or so. I got to see where was it Constance Bay he called it? I got to go down in Conception Bay. I'm going to find Conception Bay. And then if it's north of us, we're actually going to do like 70 degrees for a while. And then go to 88 degrees. Because if it's north of us and we're at 88 degrees, we're going to end up way south of Ireland. We'll end up like in Spain or Portugal or something. So we got to be careful. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to do a quick edit here, and I will be back and let you know where Conception Bay is. Okay, that was easy. We were in Conception Bay. Remember I said there's Bell Island and all that? That's Conception Bay. So if we swing around, it might still be in view. Barely, but yeah, that's Conception Bay. So we're exactly where we're supposed to be. See, there's the bay right there. Well, maybe we're a little south. A little south. So let's actually veer north for a moment or two here, and then we'll hit 88 degrees. Oh my gosh, we're getting down below 5,000 feet, and let's turn back and get up to 6,000. Let's go like this, and then once we get a little bit more north here, then we'll do 88 degrees so that we don't end up too far south. So there we go. So give me a minute to get back to the north, do this quick edit here, and then we'll turn 88 degrees, and then we'll do some sightseeing for a little bit, and through magic there'll be Ireland. But just give me a minute here to get back to the north a little bit. Alright, the bay is here. So let's turn, I'm pretty sure that's the bay. So let's turn on 88 degrees now. And from here on out, I got what, 17-ish hours or so of flight to do over water. So I'm going to take care of that in the next several real life days, or even a couple weeks of real life flying. And for you, it's just going to be some creative, I don't know, sightseeing shots or something. We'll figure it out. If there's interesting water patterns like this, or interesting clouds or something, I'll make sure to grab it. But otherwise, a couple minutes of creative, I went past 88. Couple minutes of creative sightseeing shots for you, couple weeks for me. And unless I think of anything interesting, the next time you hear my voice will be coming up on Ireland. That's the plan. So enjoy the next minute or two of water, and enjoy that you don't have to fly it for 17 hours yourself. And I'll see you, theoretically, hypothetically, presumptuously, predictively, assumingly, I will see you just before we reach Ireland. See you in a second. Alright, so I'm cutting your sightseeing early because a few things have happened here. First of all, I restarted the sim this morning because I want to get some flying hours in before my family wakes up. It's a weekend morning, very early, so my voice sounds funny. You only have to listen to me for a minute here, and then we'll go back to sightseeing. But weekend morning, I restarted the sim, and I noticed it brought me back to Conception Bay in Newfoundland. I was about an hour and a half out over the water when I quit the sim. I made sure I saw the save icon, etc., etc. So I'm wondering if it brings me back to the most recent completed checkpoint every time I restart the sim, which I can totally accept that. That would make complete sense. I accept it. Here's the thing though. What if I'm out over the water, like 12 hours over the water, and I'm too far north or south of where I'm supposed to be? How far back will it bring me to a checkpoint? What if I miss like 3 checkpoints? So I have to go back 3 hours? Or is it just going to bring me to the closest one that's behind me and it's not going to be a big deal? I don't know. And this was easy to tell because I have a reference point, right? We've been there already. I know where this is. This is Conception Bay. So what happens if we're out over the water though and I don't have a reference point to know where we are? So that could get interesting. I'm already way behind schedule. I think I've calculated so far I'm already like 4 hours longer to get to this point than the plan is. So if it's 33 hours, I think it's 33 hours. Yeah, 33 hours to get to our destination. It could take like 43 or more. So it's going to be interesting. And over the water, I'm not going to know because I won't have a point of reference. So I could put, instead of like the, what I say, 17 hours over the water, I could be putting 24, 25 hours over the water in the next week or 2 or month and not even know it. So that could be interesting. The other thing I want to talk about is the repair and refueling again, and we have to do it now, and here's why. I realized when I wasn't flying that when we add fuel to this thing, we're going to be adding like almost 1,000 pounds, right? Because I think it's 2,750 pounds total, and 66% of that is whatever's on your screen now. 66% of 2,750, if that's the right number. Anyway, the right number's on your screen. That's how much we're going to be adding to this plane. And I'm worried that if we wait too long, we'll be adding so much sudden weight, it could damage the aircraft and trigger is a crash, if it even lets us add it. So my plan was to wait till 50%, but that could be, in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, 66%, you know, the 34% or whatever that's going to be, is already probably very risky. So we're going to try to add repair and refuel in a second. And then if it works, then we'll take our 34% that we've used, then add whatever percentage we've used when we get there. And if it's less than 100, it means we wouldn't have had to refuel. If it's more than 100, then we would have run out of fuel had we not. So we're going to try this now. I gave us some altitude because the weight I'm expecting to make us sink very quickly. We'll probably lose control of the aircraft for a minute, and we might even hit a stall. So I'm ready for it. Here we go. I have it bound to my keyboard as Control R. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, and it worked. Holy crap. No. I'm speechless. Only gave us 98% though for some reason, but whatever, I don't care. I can't believe it worked. I really didn't think it was going to work. Okay, and it did not change aircraft that much. I do feel it's much heavier in the yoke, which is fine. And of course we're going to sink, which I expected. I expected us to sink like a rock, but that's acceptable because we have the full power, and full power isn't going to get us as much speed. So I am flabbergasted that that worked. Okay, so if we get down to 66% again, I might refuel again, depending on where we are on the map, just because if we do have to do it the second time, I don't want to wait until it's too far down. 1, because of the weight thing, I'm afraid it's going to trigger a crash, and 2, we don't want to be getting to France with more than even 60% fuel. It could be too heavy to land. So, okay. So we'll take that percentage we had plus whatever percentage we're going to see, and then add that together. And if it's less than 100, we would have made it, but of course it's going to be more than 100. Okay, cool. So I'm going to regain control of my aircraft. It doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I'm actually doing quite a bit here. I'm going to regain control of my aircraft, and I'm going to try to hold a heading of about 94 to 98 degrees. And I'm going to set up some creative, well, let's get over the water and away from land. I'm going to set up some creative screenshots for you, and if all goes according to plan, in a few short minutes for you, we're suddenly going to be in Ireland, which will end the video. So this will be a short video. if it goes according to plan. If it's a longer video, that means something probably happened, and you can sit on the edge of your seat to see what it was. So that's the plan for the rest of this video. It's gonna be a couple weeks for me because I don't have 17 hours to sit here and fly over water. So I'll splice together sightseeing over a couple weeks down to a few minutes, and again, if it goes according to plan, I'll see you once Ireland comes over the horizon. See you in a moment or two. It is 18 hours later in real life. 18 hours in real life since your last little clip that you saw. And we have spotted land. It's really far away still. But you see it. See, the bumps. There's land. I don't know how well it looks on YouTube, but there's definitely land up there. We still have about 2 hours to go. So how can we see land if it's 2 hours away? Well, we're coming up at 7,000 feet. Over time, I've been having us crawl higher and higher just so we can see further and further. So, yeah, I have a lot to update you on once we get to land, but I just wanted to throw in that land has been spotted. Also, there's a bug in the sound, because hear how quiet it is right now? Listen how loud it is when we get inside. It's nuts. Let me actually change the editing of audio. So let me bring the audio to what the normal sim level is. So this is normal sim level right now outside, and listen to it when it's inside. You won't even be able to hear me talk. This is how loud it is inside. And if I turn down everything except master, like if I turn everything to 0, it's perfectly quiet, except it's still very loud inside. I cannot adjust this volume on this plane. All I can do is bring the master down, or my personal volume speaker. But anyway, that is super weird. So yeah, I'll bring that editing back down to normal levels if I haven't already. So that's one thing I wanted to mention, is the weird sound. Second of all, I've been messing with conditioners, as you can see like mixture, I guess. Mixture is down about halfway. Sometimes we were over 2,000 RPMs, but if I bring it back any more, it dips. If I put it forward, it dips. So that's the most power we're going to get. And yes, we've been eating snacks as we go, because why wouldn't you eat snacks as you go? So as far as fuel consumption goes, remember we refueled at 66%, but it started at 98. So we didn't use 34%, we used 32%, right? And then we refueled back to 98 again. So what we'll do is whatever our level is when we land, we'll take away 32% from whatever we land at. If we're still above 0, then that means we did not need to refuel. If we're below 0, the negative numbers, another's landing at less than 32%, then we would have run out. So I have a feeling we didn't need to refuel, to be honest, which is fine. That's great. If we didn't need to refuel, that's fine. But I wanted to be safe than sorry. I didn't want to refuel too late, because then we would land too heavy, and then adding that weight to the airplane. If we were at, let's say we're at like 10% right now, we added the fuel, the stress could break the airplane. So we got that out of the way. So the next concern I have, which will be for the next video, really is, see the land? Yay. The next concern would be if they count this, because we have restarted, we forced it to save, and then we restarted several times. So I hope it still counts as 100% accomplishment. If it doesn't, then we have a video proof that I've done the trip. But anyway, again, that's also for the next video. So let's see here. What can we talk about now until landfall? I don't think there's much really more to talk about. It looks like we want to settle in at 7,300 feet, which is fine. I did do a long flight, a long portion of this a couple days ago. It was so long, in fact, that the sun came over and started setting. But then when I restarted for this part of it, the sun went back. So you might be wondering, Turtle, how did you spend nearly 20 hours over water like this? Well, very simple, actually. I watched YouTube. I've watched every single video on YouTube. Just kidding, of course. But mainly, the other thing I started doing is I have a Formula 1 TV Pro subscription. And if you go to their website and you have a subscription, they have all these shows you can watch, like in addition to the races and archived races. Like they have tech shows, they have documentaries, they have mini-series, they have all these things you can watch. So I watched a lot of Formula 1 programming. I mean, hey, I paid for the subscription, might as well get the most use out of it. So that's how I spent most of my time, with Flight Simulator, on this screen you're watching, and then on my other monitor, Formula 1. So I try to do no less. Time is less, right? So not fewer than less than 2 hours, because it's time, less than 2 hours every night, because if I did less than 2 hours, then sometimes I'd be redoing parts. So 2 to 3 hours most nights after everybody went to bed, super late at night, for like a couple weeks. And here we are. So it's been quite a journey. It actually has not been as dreadful as it sounds. I don't know why. There's something very peaceful about sitting here like this and keeping your heading where you want your heading. Yeah, it's actually quite peaceful. And then just watching Formula One documentary. So it's been great. It's been worth it. If it doesn't count to my accomplishment at the end, I'm going to be really upset. And I'm not doing it for the 100% thing, but I really hope I see every time I open that screen of activities that says 100%. If not, we have video proof. So anyway, I think that's the update I needed to give you until we reach Landfall. When we reach Landfall, we will conclude this video, part 4, I think we're doing. And then I think I'll condense the rest of the trip into part 5. In fact, let me just give you a preview of what that is, since it might be another... Well, it shouldn't take me that long to record the rest. But it might be a while before you see part 5, before it's uploaded and live. So let me show you here. If we bring this across, so there's another like hour and a half there, and boom, so we got like hour and 45 minutes till we reach that land that we see. So I'm hoping to reach Landfall about here, and going by Ike, because it says in Navlog southern tip of Ireland, and then we're going to come across and go to Plymouth, which is PY, that's in the Navlog. Plymouth, UK, not Plymouth, Minnesota, where I was born, literally, and not Plymouth Rock, but Plymouth, UK. And then from Plymouth, you cross the channel, and we enter France at the mouth of the Seine River, or Seine. My wife's wife, she used to live there. So Le Havre is the city, and the entrance to the Seine, or the Seine River. And then you follow the river for 100 miles to the Eiffel Tower, which is literally right here. Right here. So that curve or that curve? It might be that curve. Regardless, the Eiffel Tower is on the river. You go to the Eiffel Tower, then no, it's right here. Because when you hit the Eiffel Tower, you go north-northeast to Peanut Butter. That's where we're landing. So that is what the next video will be, condensed into one part, I think. I don't never say never. It might be 2 parts, but depends how cool the sightseeing is. It'll either be one long video or 2 short videos. Whatever. You'll find out when it uploads. But I just want to give you that preview because I don't know when that video is going to come up. It could be another week for you, or based on my timing, it could be tomorrow. Like, this depends on when I get things edited and uploaded. You know how it goes. So anyway, we've crawled to 7,600 feet, which is fine, which makes land easier to see because now we can see the land without the periscope zoomed in. So we're on the right track. I showed you where we're going to hit Landfall. I showed you the bugs about the sound. I told you what I've been doing the whole time. So yeah, that's your 10-minute update, give or take. Oh, we talked about the fuel as well, right? So again, if we land above 32%, we would have been fine. If we land below 32%, we would have run out of fuel. So anyway, no regrets. I have another couple hours ahead of me till Landfall, so you'll see a quick cut. I'm not going to put any sightseeing in between because you've seen all this before this clip. So after the cut, you're going to see roughly Landfall, and we'll conclude part 4. See you in a moment. Okay, it's a few hours later, and we're about to make Landfall. The mountains are coming up over the horizon. I mean, they have been for like an hour and a half now, but now they actually look like mountains, or big hills, I guess, maybe. So if you want to see where we are, though, in perspective to Ireland, here's the map. We're coming across here like this. Going to come across just like that. So there's Kerry. Then here's Cork. So we're going to come across just like this, which is exactly where we're supposed to be. So I cannot believe that I successfully navigated by hand without GPS over the entire ocean. And we're ending up exactly where we're supposed to be. I can't believe it. I really, really can't believe it. I mean, it's not that hard, but it's not like super easy either. So I don't know. I just can't believe it. But then once we get to about here, this is about where we'll end the video. And then the next part of the video will go through here to Plymouth, like I said, to Havre, or whatever, I can't remember what it is now. And then the river to Paris. But that'll be a little bit later. We can ahead of ourselves. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that we are about to make Landfall, and the way we're approaching Ireland. We didn't get to see any fishing boats like he had in his log, of course, because because, you know, there are no fishing boats in the sim. Looks like the sun is coming down a little bit, but we won't be hitting mainland at night because I'll be stopping and doing the next part, you know, in other days. And every time I restart this thing, it starts in the morning. But had we gone all the way through, straight through without stopping, which logistically is impossible for me, the sun would be up by now probably. We'd probably be looking at like a sunrise right now. We would have flown all this ocean overnight, which would have been cool because there'd be no lights, right? You see, all you would have to go off of is your heading and your altitude so you don't crash into the water. Because it'd be pitch black except for these these lights up here. Other than that, it would have been really weird to do this at night anyway. It's kind of a bummer we didn't get to experience that part, but like I said, somebody my age with a full-time job and kids and a family, I could not dedicate 33 plus hours to this, and nor would I be able to do some of it, pause the sim, come back later, you know, because I have to do other stuff in between, and the sim would have been running for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's how long it's been, I think. Yeah, by the time I do the next part, it'll be like 4 weeks or so that I've been doing this here and there. So anyway, yeah, I don't need to get wordy because I was wordy in the last clip. So we will keep looking for these mountains to get closer, and once we get alongside of them, we'll conclude the video. So I will see you after a quick cut, and you should see some mountains up close. Stick with me. Be right back. It is so slow going. Our speed is good and everything, but our altitude is so high that everything is much more vast than meets the eye, right? So it looked like before, like, oh yeah, just a couple of minutes and we'll be through Ireland, but no, it's been like 45 minutes. And all we did in the previous thing before I cut, we were back here, right? Looking into this bay. And now we're here, just about to reach Landfall. I'm going to consider this Landfall, and this is where we'll end the video when I get here. And then in the next video, the final part will be the rest of it. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when the conclusion to this amazing trip is uploaded. Sun is still pretty high in the sky. For the next part, though, I won't be able to fly it all at once, so the lighting or time of day will change each time I load the flight. It'll go back to morning or whatever. So right now it thinks it's what? I think it's 6:32 right now, PM, 1832, but that'll change as I have to reload. But anyway, let's just enjoy this little section here before we conclude this video. I'm assuming after editing this is probably the shortest video of the bunch, and the next one will probably be the longest, but that's okay, because whenever I'm doing sections of video and putting them together, I always think, oh, I don't have much, I should put more in there. And then I go to edit, I'm like, whoops, it's like 3 times longer than I thought. That especially happens with the Minecraft videos. I'll do little bits here and there over like a month, thinking I've got 20 minutes of video, and it's like an hour. But that's okay. But anyway, I don't know what to say about this part of Ireland, other than it's the very, very southern part of Ireland. Kerry, I said, was back in there, Kerry Airport. Cork, we're not really going to go by Cork. To see Cork, we would have to go down here and then join a river and go off into the, I say sunset, but sunset's behind us. Go off into the distance. And then Cork is there. We're not going to see Cork because we're going to come down through here, and then we're going to drift a little to the east, northeast, and then get over to Plymouth. So, I mean, maybe we'll, I don't think we'll see Cork. We'd have to turn through here and cut across here to get to Plymouth, which I'm not going to do. I mean, we could, and then take a sharp right to the south to Plymouth, but we're not going to just because of fuel and time and everything. Just know that would be our way to Cork right there. That'd be our turn if we were going there. Otherwise, about to reach Landfall, about to wrap up this part 4, and then we'll continue on in part 5, but we're not quite there. As soon as we get to this thing sticking out, the little peninsula-like thing. Alright, so this island has a name. It's called Dursey Island. And Dursey Point right out there might have a lighthouse on it. According to Google Maps, it's a great place to take photos. So maybe there's a lighthouse, but at 7,900 feet above sea level, I don't think we're going to be able to make it out, even if it didn't render in. If it's not a POI, then at best it would just be in a satellite image, unless they auto-gen something, but sometimes they will. But anyway, that's what that is called. And then we've got, let's see, this thing's sticking out, and then this here's called Lamb's Head. And then there's boat tours here. So boat tours here, Lamb's Head is here, and then Dursey Island is there. So there you go. I zoomed in on the map so we could get some names, which seems to be a cool way to do things. I think if I look closely at a map and tell you what we're looking at, super helpful. Does this island here have a name? That is called Scariff, and that is Danish Island. And then West Rath is over here. Sorry, I don't have an Irish accent to say those names. And then, yeah, there's some stuff in there which I can't read. But anyway, so there you go. That's the name of those islands. We're almost there. We're almost at the end of this video. Wow, you can see England from here. So this right here on the horizon is the southeasternmost peninsula of England. That's crazy. And then Plymouth then would be on the other side of what you're looking at, like right over there. But that's pretty crazy. I thought this peninsula had, Land's End. Yeah, it has a name called Land's End, right? So yeah, Land's End is like right there. Dang. Look at that. That's crazy. I can't believe you can see that far from here, but I guess that would make sense because we're 8,000 some feet up, right? Okay, cool. Well, that's where we're not headed to Land's End, we're headed to Plymouth, which is just east of Land's End, but we have been to Land's End in the past. You can't really see it from here, though. Well, maybe, Can you make it out from here? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that on YouTube. It's like 1 pixel, but this is a cool view, though. But it's out there, so that's crazy. But again, we'll get to that in the next video. I still am trying to make landfall in this video. There you go. We'll take out the drone for a second, and then I'll fly this over. Yeah, it finally rendered over here. That looks gorgeous. It finally caught up. Because even 30 seconds ago, this was looking pretty nasty. I just didn't want to complain, but now that it rendered in, it doesn't look too bad. It's just still so loud in this cockpit compared to outside. Crazy, no matter how much I adjust the levels. Anyway, so yeah, we're 7,800 feet up. I'm going to start trimming down so that we just gradually work our way down to only a few thousand feet above sea level max. I want to be pretty close to the ground by the time we reach Plymouth, because then when I fly to the Seine and then the 100 miles to Paris over France, I want to be close to the ground, and then when we get to the Eiffel Tower, to circle around the Eiffel Tower. I don't want to be much higher than the Eiffel Tower. I want to be like eye level with that thing, and then we'll make our way to the airport. So there you go. We're about to reach Landfall from 8,000 feet up, or 7,800 feet up. Long time in the coming. How long has this been? It's been at least 18, maybe 19 hours. If I can include this last little bit going along Ireland. Just of the water part. That doesn't include the New York part and the Atlantic going to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. That was another like 6 or 7 or 8 hours. I don't even remember. So we're like in like 25 plus. No, it has to be more than that because the trip is 33 and we've got 4 hours left. And there's no way we're ahead of schedule. Look, don't crash. There's no way we're ahead of schedule. So it has to be well into the high 20s of hours. There we go. We're going over land. So there we've done it. We have made landfall. Wow. Alrighty. You know what to do. Like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when the final part drops. The Charles Lindbergh Transatlantic St. Louis, Spirit of St. Louis flight, whatever this thing is called. I don't even know what it's called. Something like that. Do what I told you to do so I don't repeat myself. I told you once, I'm not going to tell you again. And I'll see you next time.